Hi, my name is Monique Galloway, and I'm here with Brandon Maceo Berry to shed some light on Asperger's and to discuss how going through day-to-day life with the condition is, and to raise awareness for other people who aren't really sure exactly what Asperger's is. So I want to first ask just a brief description of Asperger's.
Asperger's syndrome is more of a high-functioning part of autism, but it affects the social stigma of it. I'm not very good at reading cues. I'm not good at communicating or being able to maintain everyday relationships with people. So that's pretty much people with Asperger's syndrome. They have a high IQ, high intelligence. They perform well academically, but as far as being social with people and getting along with people, it's a struggle.
Okay. So at what time were you diagnosed with Asperger's?
I was diagnosed when I was 16. There were some issues I had when I was going to high school, and I couldn't get along with teachers. I couldn't get along with students, and my mom just recommended that I take some sort of tests. Met with a psychologist, and we undergone the testing. So the testing was pretty much, it's kind of like taking an aptitude test. Or they'll measure your intelligence, and they'll same thing like you go to see how psychiatrists scenes are on TV where you look at this ink spot and what this represents. And they ask you a few questions, and I took the test, and that's when I found out that I had Asperger's syndrome.
Okay. Now how would you say going through high school and college, how did that really make a difference on going through that? Because high school and college is it's an intense experience. So having to do that with Asperger's, how was that?
It was tough. I had issues when I was in elementary school, and it went on to high school. I used to get picked on a lot. I used to get teased on a lot. I used to get in fist fights with people a lot, and just never couldn't get along. Didn't really have any friends when I was going to high school. It was very hard. It was very challenging. High school wise, I didn't really hang out much. I didn't, I just did my homework, and that was just it. I didn't go out. Never, went to any school dances or nothing like that. When I went off to college, I was excited about that till my freshman year. I still noticed I still had the same issues when I was in middle school, high school. It was very hard for me to make friends. And there's a lot of, when I majored in communications, I was supposed to, speak in front of a lot of classmates, and I had issues with that. So it was very rough period for me. I was able to get through. I was able to graduate, but when I look back at it, it was very tough and very nerve-wracking, to say the least. So, it was a hard time for me.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the BWS podcast. I know you've kind of been taking steps on trying to get more comfortable with the social things and everything. So just kind of give me an overview of what goes on these podcasts.
The BWS podcast consists of me, my man Will, and my guy Sean Scott, and we just debate sports. For me, it helps me out a lot because you have people who have the same interest in you. So you'll be able to have an easier transition as far as communicating, and that's what I really like about the podcast, because I can actually be myself and express myself more, and you're hanging out with people who have the same interests and like you as a person. So that's really helps me out a lot. When I started doing the podcast and I started doing the sports features, it was a design for me to actually try something different in a career path, but also to help me become more social. So it forces me to go out and speak and interview people. And when I have NBA players on the segment, I have to call them. And you talk to them and try to explain what I'm trying to do, and when I have to interview them, it's going to be more of a conversation. So I can converse with people on that level. So it the podcast really pushes me to the brink to bring out my abilities to communicate and socialize more. And it's a good move because I've noticed significant progress in it, and it's continuing to get better gradually over time, and hopefully within a year or so I'll be able to fully be more relaxed in social settings and being able to communicate in larger groups and large audience.
Okay. What would you like people to know about Asperger's?
I want people to know about Asperger's. That is just a social issue regarding autism. When people look at autism, they just see that one picture, but they don't get the other spectrums going along with that. So I want to raise awareness for parents to, be able to point out the issues when they're kids,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to when they get older and they still have issues and difficulties communicating. It won't be much as a problem once you get diagnosed at an early age. For me, I found out when I was 16, so it was very tough for me going into adulthood and still not having the verbal cues and how to, be social, as opposed to kids who are 5 and 6. So that's what I want people to know about autism. Just the Asperger spectrum is just, it's not hindering, and for people who live like me, it's not the end of the world. So I want people who have Asperger syndrome, be comfortable with yourself. I always had issues telling people about my condition because I didn't want people to look at me like I'm weird or I'm crazy, and it really held me back from a lot of stuff. But once you turn 24, 25, and you're more acceptable with who you are and what you have, you be able to go out and mentor people and educate people about it. And for me, it was a great thing that I've done to come out with a blog that I posted about Asperger's and my everyday journey and life experience with it. That it gives people a whole different view of me as a person and the disability of going to Asperger's. And I got great reviews and feedback, and a lot of people were supportive about it. So that what really drove me into being an advocate towards it. So it was a good move on my behalf, and I really want to be able to help parents out and volunteer, do charity work, and raise awareness of Asperger's syndrome.
Okay.
Entirely.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that podcast and learned a little bit about Asperger's today. And once again, my name is Monique Galloway, and have a good night.